Anybody who's ever been in a client-facing role who's moved from supporting one group of people to a different group of people knows the pain of having to transition this client or this supported person to somebody else. Let's say Eric right here from GMX.com. He was my best customer for a decade. But now I've moved on to being the sales manager, or I've moved on to a different section of the company. If Eric is constantly emailing me information that somebody else needs, I need to find some way of automatically pushing that information to someone else within the organization. Hey everybody, it's Neil Malik from Knack Training, bringing you another Everyday Office video. Today's video is an Automatic Monday. It's about Outlook rules for handling people who are no longer your problem. So let's take Eric here, for example. If Eric was in my contact list, let's look over here at my contact list. Here's Eric. So Eric's in my contact list as a normal person in my contacts, and let's say that I have moved on from Eric's job, whatever it happens to be. What I would do is I'd start off by right-clicking on Contacts over here on the left and making a new folder within Contacts called Old Clients, and then click OK. Then I'd take Eric and drag him over to my old contacts. So you can see he's no longer part of my standard contact list. Now he's part of my old clients contact list. So now I'm going to come back and create a rule for every time Eric ever sends me an email. I'll go to Rules up here at the top of the screen, and really what I'm thinking about here is not one of those that's automatically on the drop-down menu. So I'm going to go to Manage Rules and Alerts, and when I go to Manage Rules and Alerts and I create a new rule using New Rule button in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to just make a generic vanilla rule for messages I receive, because I need a way to identify Eric, but also all of my other clients who I've moved on from. So I go here to Rule on Messages I Receive, click Next, and right down here there is a checkbox that's so very useful. Here, Sender is in a specified address book. And then I click on the word specified right here, and notice right here I can say anybody who's in my old client's address book, boom, let's do something automatically to it. That's what we're going for here. So if we've simply moved on from a role, somebody else has taken over all of our old clients, anybody we put into the old clients list can now automatically be handled. I know what you're thinking. You think to yourself, well, what if my clients were distributed amongst 2 or 3 other people? You could just make a contact list for Bob, a contact list for Jane, and a contact list for Susan, and drop their new clients into each of one of those contact lists. And just make a rule that says if they're in old clients, or if they're in Bob, just send them to Bob. And if they're in Jane, send them to Jane. And if they're in Susan, send them to Susan. But here we're going to go with somebody is taking over all of my old clients. I click on Next. And right here, I can forward it to people or public group, choose the appropriate person. Let's say Alejandro has taken over all of my old clients. And then click Next. And for the exception, except if it was already sent to Alejandro. So except if sent to people or public group, click on people or public group right here and Alejandro. Boom, there it is. So anybody who's an old client of mine who emails me, automatically forward that to Alejandro, except if Alejandro was already on the email. I click Finish, and just like that, all my old clients get pushed to the right person rather than me having to handle it.